Welcome into Texans Today. We're going to be breaking down the latest Texans news and rumors from day 4 of NFL free agency. But before we get into all of that, we are so close to 12,000 subs. We are 93 away. So if you haven't already, go down and hit that sub button for daily Texans news and rumors content. 100% free. And I always say, if you don't like it in a week, you can unsubscribe. But give me a chance. Let me show you why we are the #1 Texans channel on YouTube, the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube for daily Texans content. Go down and hit that sub button right now. So coming up, I'm going to be breaking out all two of the moves that the Texans made during day 4 of NFL free agency, plus an extension, an extension for one Joe Mixon. I'll tell you all the numbers you need to know with that coming up in just a moment. But I've seen a lot of people rank the Texans in a lot of different spots. I've seen people saying, the Texans have had the best free agency so far, and some people saying, the Texans free agency besides Danielle Hunter has been kind of mid. So I want to hear from you folks at home. You're the ones I really care about, the fans' opinion. That's why it's called Chat Sports, not Jeremy Sports. So go down in the comment section right now. Grade the Texans free agent class so far. A, B, C, D, or F. It's red pen time. Get it out. Pass it to your neighbor and let me know what you would grade this Texans free agent class so far. Now, when it comes to Joe Mixon signing an extension, the numbers came through. 3-year, $27 million deal with $13 million guaranteed. And then you notice right there, it says extension. It's not a contract. So they traded for Mixon. He had 1 year, $2.2 million left on his current deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Texans traded for him and then extended him for another 3 years. So it's important to remember. This deal is an addition to what he's making this year. So really, it's more like 4 years, $29 million for Joe Mixon, which makes it a little bit more palatable because when you're thinking about it, 3 years, 27, do the mental math real quick. That's $9 million a year. 4 for 29, that's more in the range of $7.25 million a year. So much more palatable for Joe Mixon and for that contract when the 3-year, $27 million deal came in. For a second, I was like, before I remembered that he had another deal or another year, I was like, that's a lot to pay, especially for whenever we've seen other contracts come through for running backs like Tony Pollard. Got a 3-year, $24 million deal. He's making $8 million a year. So, in essence, every single year, Joe Mixon making less than Tony Pollard. Same with DeAndre Swift, who got a very identical deal with the Chicago Bears. 3-year, $24 million. Have his guaranteed $15.3 million guaranteed for DeAndre Swift. So both those guys getting 3 years, $24 million, $8 million a year, in the same range as Joe Mixon. And I don't know about you guys, I think Joe Mixon is on par with both of these guys. I think Joe Mixon is around a DeAndre Swift. I think he's better than Tony Pollard, in my personal opinion. I think the Texans got a good value with this deal, is what I'm basically trying to say. Because when you look at this deal, too, Josh Jacobs, 4 years, $48 million deal. He's making $12 million a year. So almost $5 million more per year than Joe Mixon. And is he really $5 million a year better than Joe Mixon? Nah, I don't think so at all. And then, obviously, the guy that the Texans were trying to get on day 1 of NFL free agency and the Eagles snatched him up would be Saquon Barkley, 3-year, $37.75 million deal. We know that the Texans were going to try to give Saquon a deal. They offered him a 3-year, $33 million deal. So Eagles beating him out a little bit. They were willing to go up to $11 million a year to pay a running back. Instead, now they're paying Joe Mixon $7 million a year. So all in all, I think it's really good value for what you're getting in Joe Mixon and the type of player you're getting. Maybe he's not as good as a Saquon Barkley, but I do still think he's an upgrade over anybody the Texans have had the past 3-4 seasons. So I want to let you folks weigh in at home. I kind of gave you what I was thinking with the Joe Mixon contract. Was it worth it? Was it not? I personally think it's a pretty good value for the Texans, but do you think the Texans overpaid for Joe Mixon? In essence, a 4-year, $29 million deal because 3 years, $27 plus this year, 2.2. 4 years, $29. Do you think they overpaid for him? Give me a yes, give me a no down in the comment section. Interested into what the fans have to say. Now, the Texans, they made a couple moves in free agency today, getting a swing tackle in David Sharpe, just like another roster guy, another back into the roster guy to have behind Titus Howard, to have behind Laramie Tunsil. So, I mean, not earth-shattering moves made today by the Texans. They also signed a defensive tackle, not the one that I wanted. They got Tim Settle. He was drafted by the Washington Commanders, kind of sat behind Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, didn't really get his chance. Then he played his past 2 seasons with the Buffalo Bills. To be honest, hasn't gotten a lot of work. Hasn't really showed me that he is going to be a starting level caliber defensive tackle. I mean, 2 years, $7 million deal. Obviously, he's not getting starting defensive tackle money. He's another depth piece. He's going to be a guy that kind of battles with Kurt Hennish for snap time next season. But it really upset me because I really wanted this guy right here. I wanted Arik Armstead. He ended up signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars out of nowhere. 3 years, $51 million a year. Boop, boop, boop. $17 million a year for Arik Armstead with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it sucks because you not only lose out on Arik Armstead, $16 million? Oh, God, sorry. I thought you were saying 16. No, yeah, $17 million a year. And it sucks because you don't not only miss out on Arik Armstead, he signs with a division rival. You're going to have to play him twice a year. I really love the fit with him and D'Amico Ryan's defense. I don't know where the kind of contract talks fell off because I know the Texans were very interested. They were talking to Arik Armstead since it was announced that he was being released by the San Francisco 49ers. He was designated as a post-June 1st cut by them. And the Texans were one of the very top teams, the very first teams listed as a landing spot for Arik Armstead. But something must have happened. I don't know if the Texans got outbid once again, which is a little upsetting because the Texans had a ton of cap space going into this year. I know they signed Danielle Hunter. I know they just gave Joe Mixon an extension. They still have a lot of money because they have C.J. Stroud, a quarterback on a rookie deal. So it's upsetting that they weren't able to get it done with a guy like Arik Armstead. And it just makes me think defensive tackle becomes a top need for the Texans this year in the draft. I know corner, safety is another one. I've been looking out for those. There's still a lot of corners and safeties on the board. Justin Simmons, I think he would be a great fit with the Houston Texans. I really hope that Nick Caserio, D'Amico Ryans are looking into him to see if possibly they can make something work with him for the contract value. Also, I know they'll need another corner. There are still a lot out there. Steven Nelson is still out in free agency. Xavier Howard is also out there in free agency as this is being filmed. Adoree Jackson as well. So other guys to fill some of those spots, but defensive tackle becomes a major need in the draft. So does cornerback in this year's 2024 NFL draft. I wonder what the Texans are going to do now. I don't know if there's anybody out there that you're really like, you know what, I feel comfortable this being our starting defensive tackle this year. Sheldon Rankins signed by the Bengals this morning. So another guy that's off the board. Not a lot of starting caliber guys left. I believe he hasn't signed yet. Calais Campbell would be one that I would be interested in. He's played really well, even though he's getting up there in age. That's the next guy that I would look at as a possibility. I know I had a list the other day of some guys as well. Taven Bryan would be another one, but DJ Reader already signed with the Lions. Sheldon Rankins, like I said, signed with the Bengals. Jerry Tillery signed with the Vikings. So these defensive tackles coming off the board very quick. You signed Danico Autry, who can play some DT for you, but you still need more help at that position. So we'll have to see what the Texans do for the rest of free agency and going into the draft. Either way, I'll have you covered. That's why you got to hit that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs or X, whatever you want to call it. Go follow me at Jeremy Chuggs, giving you dank tweets around the NFL, NBA, and just pop culture in general. And like I said, we're trying to get to 12,000 subscribers here on the channel. So go down and hit that sub button. Go to youtube.com/TexansTV for daily Texans news and rumors. If you have friends that are Texans fans, send them some of my videos. Say, hey, check this dude out. He's a crazy guy from South Houston, repping the Houston Texans, trying to make this one of the better channels we have here at Chat Sports. But I need your help. The more subs we get, the more notoriety we get, the more videos I can make, the more time I can spend on Texans videos. So go down there, hit that sub button for daily Texans news and rumors videos.